Hello, and welcome back to the Nostalgia Brit, the channel dedicated to dusting off the delightfully peculiar corners of British life that shaped us. Today, we're tackling something that is less a topic of conversation and more a national ritual: the weather. Now, if you're British, you know the drill. We talk about it constantly, we complain about it fiercely. It's the perfect, safe lubricant for any awkward social encounter. If you can't think of anything to say, you can always rely on the dependable complaint. Bit nippy today, isn't it? But our focus today isn't just on the inevitable drizzle or the 2 fleeting days of summer we usually get. It's about the delivery system. The trusted voice that every evening told us exactly what type of waterproof coat we needed to drag out the following morning. Before satellite images were instant, before you could pull up a hyper-local radar map on your phone, there was a solemn, ceremonial moment on British television. The clock struck a certain time, the news ended, and a familiar face stepped up to a very basic, but somehow utterly reassuring weather map. These people weren't just meteorologists, they were the comforting, slightly eccentric uncles and aunts of the nation. They were the reassuring presence that tucked us in before bed and sent us off to school or work in the morning. They were the guardians of our picnics, the spoilers of our bank holidays, and occasionally the subject of national ridicule when the forecast went spectacularly wrong. And it's those iconic voices, those clumsy magnetic symbols, and that unmistakable sense of anticipation that we are going to look back on today. Let's dive into the golden age of gloom, shall we? To understand the British weather forecast, you first have to understand the presenters. They were the stars of a very quiet show, yet they became some of the most recognisable and beloved faces on British television. And leading the charge, inevitably we must talk about the man who, on the 15th of October 1987, gave what is arguably the most famous wrong forecast in meteorological history: Michael Fish. Michael Fish, with his slightly frantic manner and his magnificent array of ties, was a fixture on the BBC. He had that uniquely British charm of being utterly dependable until, well, he wasn't. On that infamous day, he famously reassured viewers, "Earlier on today, apparently a woman rang a BBC and said she heard there was a hurricane on the way. Well, if you're watching, don't worry, there isn't." A few hours later, the Great Storm of 1987 tore across southern England, causing billions in damage. It was a disaster. But his sheer, charming, misplaced confidence elevated the moment from a simple mistake to a piece of national folklore. It's a moment we still reference with a knowing, dry smile. Then there was the man who could make any day sound exciting, the highly energetic Ian McCaskill. Ian had a voice that was both soothing and dramatic, a fantastic face for mimicry, and a distinctive, slightly high-pitched delivery that made his segments instantly memorable. He had a way of describing a pressure system that made you feel like you were witnessing a thrilling, high-stakes drama unfold across the North Sea. He was pure, unadulterated television comfort. Let's not forget John Ketley, who was practically a celebrity in the 1980s. He became famous for being, well, just John Ketley. He had a completely straightforward, no-nonsense delivery that the public adored, leading to the immortal chant, "John Ketley is a weatherman." It speaks volumes that a man simply doing his job earned his own playground chorus. These presenters were stable. They were reliable. They were the human face of an increasingly unpredictable climate. We trusted them, we relied on them, and they were part of the very fabric of British home life, guiding us through the inevitable cloudy periods with a stiff upper lip and an encouraging smile. The magic of the golden age of weather forecasting wasn't just in the delivery, it was also in the delightfully rudimentary technology. When we look back at the 1970s and 80s broadcasts, we aren't seeing slick, high-definition satellite imagery. We are seeing something much more endearing, the sheer effort of the presentation. Picture the scene. A map of the UK, often just a laminated board or a simple screen, the presenter would stand there, occasionally wielding a long pointer like a medieval knight about to slay a pressure system, and manually illustrate the forecast. This was the era of the magnetic symbol, those little pre-cut icons of a smiling sun, a fluffy white cloud, or a heavy black rain cloud that the presenter would physically stick onto the map. There was always that small moment of tension, wasn't there? Would the symbol stick properly? Would the presenter accidentally knock the sunny icon off the map of Cornwall? It added a lovely unintentional layer of human drama to the whole affair. And if you go back to the 1970s, it gets even more delightfully primitive. The presentation was often done against a chroma key screen, a simple blue background, using chalkboards or felt-tip pens. The colour palettes were muted, the lines were thick, and the whole thing looked less like cutting-edge science and more like a geography lesson from secondary school. But this simplicity was actually key to its charm. It forced us, the viewers, to listen intently to the words of the forecaster rather than getting distracted by flashing graphics and 3D flyovers. The focus was on the story of the weather, the warm front advancing, the cold front retreating, told through the comforting voice and that satisfying clack of a magnetic rain cloud being placed firmly over Manchester. This low-tech approach was an honest reflection of its time, and it created a visual language of weather that is instantly recognisable to a generation of Brits. Now, for something entirely different. While the televised forecast was our daily guide to wearing a sensible jumper, there exists another, much older, much more mysterious form of meteorological information that holds a near-secret place in British culture: the shipping forecast. This is the poetic, almost mythical broadcast, read late at night on BBC 4. It's a litany of names: Viking, Forties, Cromarty, Dogger, Fisher, German Bight. These aren't just places, they are sonic geography, a musical map of the seas around the British Isles. Ostensibly, the shipping forecast is designed for sailors and fishermen, those truly reliant on the sea's temperament. But for generations of landlubbers, it has become something far more profound. It is, quite simply, the sound of Britain going to sleep. Its style is utterly consistent, almost unchanging since its inception. The cadence is slow, the tone is measured, and the language is formal, using nautical terms like imminent, cyclonic, and veering. It offers an unshakable sense of calm and continuity, read by a voice that sounds as if it has been doing so for centuries. There is a beautiful paradox here. You are listening to a forecast that deals with gales, poor visibility, and rough seas in distant, forbidding areas, all while you are safe and snug in your living room, perhaps brewing a final cup of tea. It is a reminder that the world is vast and dangerous, but within the walls of your home, everything is stable. It's this rhythmic recitation of wind direction and sea state that acts as a national lullaby. It's comforting because it never changes. In a world of constant flux, changing governments, changing technology, and certainly changing weather, the shipping forecast remains perfectly, gloriously static. It is a profound, understated piece of national art. So where does that leave us today? In the current climate, literally and figuratively, the old ways of receiving the forecast seem delightfully primitive. Now we don't rely on the kind face of Ian McCaskill to tell us it might rain in Aberdeen. We have an app that alerts us, pixel by pixel, moment by moment, if a single drop is imminent over our specific postcode. The weather forecast has lost its element of ceremony. It has transitioned from a communal, comforting TV ritual into a cold, transactional piece of data on a handheld screen. And that is perhaps why we feel such strong nostalgia for those old broadcasts. They weren't just reports, they were an event. They provided a shared national experience, the collective holding of breath as the presenter placed the dreaded rain cloud over our region. What we truly miss is that feeling of connection. We miss the reassuring presence of those familiar faces, the satisfying clack of the magnetic symbols, and the collective understanding that, whether rain or shine, we were all in this unpredictable British weather together. The forecast may now be faster and more accurate, but the warmth, the charm, and the subtle, dry humour of that golden age of meteorology are gone, replaced by an emoji and a percentage chance. Thank you for joining me today as we weathered this nostalgic look back. What are your favourite memories of those iconic weather presenters? Let me know in the comments below. Until next time, keep your chin up, keep your umbrella close, and remember, don't panic, it's probably only a light shower. Goodbye for now.